In a sunny, cheerful green field where the grass swayed and the sun always seemed to shine, lived three little pigs who were the best of friends and siblings. Their names were Percy, Patty, and Pip, and each one was special in their own way. Percy, the eldest, was always thinking ahead. He loved to plan, making lists and drawing blueprints in his trusty notebook, dreaming up big ideas for the future. Patty, the middle pig, was bursting with creativity. She could turn a pile of sticks or a handful of leaves into something amazing, building and inventing with her clever trotters and a big imagination. Pip, the youngest, was full of laughter and joy. He loved to play, especially blowing rainbow bubbles that shimmered in the sunlight, making everyone around him smile. One bright morning, their loving mom called them together. She gave each pig a big hug and packed their backpacks with snacks and tools. "It's time for you to build your own houses," she said warmly. "Be smart, be safe, and have fun. Remember, I'm always here if you need me." With excitement bubbling inside them, the three little pigs set off down the winding path, ready for their very first big adventure away from home. Percy, always the planner, declared confidently, "My house will be strong and sturdy, made of bricks. Nothing will knock it down." Patty smiled and said, "Mine will be cozy and warm, woven from sticks like a basket. It'll be the perfect place to relax and create." Pip, with a twinkle in his eye, grinned, "My house will be the most fun of all, made entirely of bubbles. It'll float and sparkle in the sun." Percy and Patty couldn't help but giggle at Pip's idea. "Bubbles? You can't build a house out of bubbles," they teased, shaking their heads in disbelief. But Pip just smiled confidently, surrounded by his sparkling bubbles. "You'll see," he said. "It'll be bubble-tastic. Sometimes the most magical ideas are the ones that seem the silliest." And so, with dreams in their hearts and big plans in their heads, the three little pigs began their journey, each imagining the perfect home they would build, ready for whatever adventures awaited them next. The pigs found a spot by a babbling brook and got to work. Percy stacked bricks, Patty wove sticks, and Pip dipped his giant wand in bubble soap. Pip blew huge, shimmering bubbles, sticking them together to form his house. "It's a bubble palace!" Pip cheered, bouncing on the walls. The sun shone through, making rainbows dance inside. Percy frowned. "Is it strong enough, Pip?" Pip bounced. "It's bouncy and bright." Patty admired the colors but kept weaving her sticks. Each pig worked in their own special way, building the house they dreamed of. The field sparkled with promise and possibility. Soon, all three houses were finished. The pigs stood back to admire their work, each house unique and vibrant. Pip's bubble house shimmered in the sunlight. Patty's stick house looked sturdy and rustic. And Peter's brick house stood solid and strong. But lurking nearby was the big bad wolf, hungry and sneaky. He had been watching the pigs for days, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. He crept to Pip's bubble house first, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. The bubble house looked fragile, and the wolf was sure it would be an easy target. "I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down," he roared, taking a deep breath and filling his lungs with air. The wolf blew with all his might, but the bubble house just wobbled and bounced the wind right back at him. The wolf was taken aback, not expecting the house to be so resilient. Confused, the wolf tried again, blowing even harder. Still, the house held. The bubble walls shimmered and flexed, but they did not break. Exhausted, the wolf tried a new trick. He poked the bubble wall with his sharp claw. He grinned, thinking he had outsmarted the pigs. Pop! The house burst in a soapy splash, leaving Pip dripping and surprised. The soapy water dripped from his snout and he looked around in shock. The wolf cackled, "One house down!" He felt triumphant, believing he had won the first round. Pip ran to Patty's stick house, the wolf hot on his heels. He knew he had to warn his siblings and find safety. The pigs huddled together, learning that bubbles are strong against wind, but not sharp claws. They realized they needed to rethink their strategy. The wolf's cleverness had found the bubble's weakness. He felt confident that he could outsmart the pigs again. But the pigs weren't done yet. They had more to learn and more to build. They were determined to find a way to outsmart the wolf. The adventure was just beginning. The pigs knew they had to be clever and resourceful to stay ahead of the wolf. Sometimes, even the most magical ideas need a little more strength. The pigs pondered their next move. thinking of ways to make their houses stronger. Pip wiped his eyes, thinking hard. He knew they had to come up with a new plan quickly. What would he do next? The story wasn't over. The pigs were ready for the next challenge, determined to outsmart the wolf once and for all. Pip, soaked and sad, realized his bubble house was gone. The once shiny walls had vanished, leaving only puddles and scattered bits of bubble behind. He looked around, feeling a little embarrassed and disappointed, but also curious about what went wrong. Patty hugged him tightly and said, "It was wonderful, but not strong enough for claws." She smiled, reminding Pip that trying something new is always brave, even if it doesn't work out the first time. Percy called out, "Every house has strengths and weaknesses. That's how we learn what works best." The friends gathered around, sharing ideas and comforting Pip. Pip learned something important. Bubbles can stretch and bend, but sharp points make them pop. They're fun and magical, but not the best for keeping out danger. "It's just like a balloon," Percy explained. "A single poke in one spot and it bursts. Even the strongest-looking bubble can't stand up to something sharp." Pip thought hard. "So the bubble skin is too thin for sharp things. Maybe I need to find something stronger, something that can handle claws and pokes." Percy nodded wisely. "Science helps us learn and improve. Every experiment teaches us something new, even if it doesn't go as planned." Pip gazed at the sturdy brick house nearby. An idea was starting to form in his mind. Maybe there was a way to combine what he'd learned with something even stronger. He wondered if he could use his new knowledge to build something even better, something that could be both fun and safe. Pip realized that every mistake is a chance to grow, to get smarter and stronger. He felt a spark of excitement instead of sadness. The pigs huddled together, united and ready to face the wolf's next move. They knew that, together, they could solve any problem. Pip's clever mind was already at work, thinking of new inventions and ways to protect his friends. What would he invent next? With his friends by his side and a head full of ideas, anything was possible. The wolf, feeling triumphant, marched to Patty's stick house. "Little pigs, let me come in," he called. "Not by the hair on our chinny chins," the pigs replied. The wolf huffed and puffed, shaking the house. Patty's weaving held strong, at first. But with one final mighty blow, the stick house crashed down. The pigs scrambled to Percy's brick house, slamming the door just in time. The wolf, frustrated, tried to blow the brick house down. He huffed and puffed until he was blue in the face, but the bricks didn't budge. The pigs cheered inside, safe at last. The wolf slumped, out of breath and out of ideas. But the pigs knew they needed more than just strong walls. They needed each other. Inside the brick house, the pigs celebrated their safety. But Pip missed his bright, bubbly windows and Patty her cozy designs. "What if we work together?" Pip suggested. "Bricks for strength, sticks for beauty, and bubbles for fun." Percy and Patty considered it, a house with all their best ideas. "That's brilliant!" Patty exclaimed. "It's science and teamwork," Percy agreed. By combining their strengths, they could build something amazing. The pigs realized they were better together. They started planning their new, improved home. Teamwork would make it the best house ever. The wolf tried one last trick, sneaking down the chimney, but the pigs were ready. Percy had a pot of hot water boiling. The wolf slid down and splash, shot back up, yelping into the woods. The pigs cheered, safe and victorious. The next day, they built their dream house. Strong brick walls, woven stick frames, and magical bubble windows. Sunlight and rainbows filled their new home. The pigs learned that mistakes are just steps to something better. By using science, creativity, and teamwork, they built the perfect house. And so, the three little pigs lived happily ever after. Every adventure is better when you work together. The end.